right, so my topic for this week's show, a lot of people have been mentioning the fact of the best in the world, whether that be CM Punk, whether that be Daniel Bryan. Every news source on the internet in wrestling has mentioned it, that there's at least been a conversation. Now, my question for you guys here, and I'll let you guys go first, then I'll chime in, is if AEW does not bring in Punk and or Daniel Bryan, does it do the company more harm than good?
If they don't bring them in.
If it doesn't happen.
So actually what's funny is we talked about this a little bit on the Daily podcast earlier today, Ernest and I, and I think it might not even be the first time that I brought it up on the Daily one because, I'm the Iron Man of the Daily podcast. I'm there every day pretty much. But it's always the gay guy you can depend on. That's all I'm saying. It's just so all I'm saying is I think that at this point, because of the fact that it's been so widely reported, that there's been so many different internet sites talking about it, there's been so many different rumors, yada, yada, yada. At this point, if it doesn't happen, it's going to make AEW look awful. Because at the end of the day, wrestling fans, they have this thing, I don't know what it is. We all like fantasy booking. We all like doing those kinds of things. We also like getting in our heads about stuff that we get convinced is going to happen. And then if it doesn't happen, we get upset. And that's a thing. Hi, Sophie. That's a thing that happens every single time. It happens. It's happened all the time. It happens with WWE all the time. How often? Look, right now, case in point, everyone's convinced that The Rock is coming in for WrestleMania. Everyone is convinced that we're going to get The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. I guarantee you, if Rock doesn't come in for WrestleMania, you're going to have a third of the audience at the very least being like, oh man, whatever match Roman Reigns is in sucks because The Rock's not in it. Even though there's been no actual word that The Rock is coming in. Right. It's something that wrestling fans do. And the sad part is it ends up making the company look bad. In the end, AEW shouldn't actually look bad because they don't get to sign those two guys if that ends up happening. But because it's been so hyped up and so built up, anything else that they deliver at this point is going to feel like a 20% off DVD sale from Ring of Honor.
Right. But, Joe, whose fault is that, though, as the fan? Because, again, WWE didn't promise you this. You're hearing fucking Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and these other fucking stooges on the internet saying it. Now, right. In the case of what Mike said, his question, it's really bad. Because now, as of last night, AEW is playing into it now. Now they're playing into it within their programming now.
So, but if you were them, do you think it's wrong for them to play into it? Would you rather just ignore it when everyone's talking about it?
No, you play into it and you give them as much leash as you can. Because who's to say, okay, they don't have a contract yet. Who's to say they don't? But knowing that everyone is already talking about it, why not just kind of subtly punt it and address it little by little? And then if something comes through and you get one of them, awesome. If not, then, the best in the world is now insert new person here. You bring out somebody and you fuck the fan. You make whoever that is that isn't Daniel Bryan or CM Punk now the biggest heel in fucking AEW.
Now, I will say this. It wasn't that long ago. It was only a few months ago where they were teasing a big name showing up in AEW, and it ended up being Christian Cage. And I think the conversation that we had then, and I know that the three of us agreed on this, and I feel like it was kind of the general consensus of a lot of people, was that Christian Cage showing up is awesome. Christian Cage is an amazing talent, but the way it was hyped up, it felt like CM Punk was coming in. Or Brock Lesnar was coming in, or someone like that. And that's the funny thing, like, at the end of the day, like, now, because the rumors are so strong about these specific names, like, look, if CM Punk and Daniel Bryan don't show up, but for some odd, crazy reason Brock Lesnar shows up, I don't think anyone's going to be that angry. If these guys don't show up and we find out that Juventud Guerrera is getting a full-time contract, it's not going to be the same thing.
No, I'm with you. I feel like the WWE did this. They can stave off criticism. They'll probably get a little bit like a lot of, no matter what they do, the people shit on it. But they'll survive. AEW can't. AEW has more risk because they're a newer company and they're still trying to prove something here. So if for some reason now they're teasing it now within storylines, Darby Allin, say what he said in his promo last week. If they don't come through,
neither one of them shows up. The new best in the world is Scorpio Sky.
God. Can it at least be Too Cold Scorpio? He's doing out flips and stuff at like 54.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Darby Allin's feuding with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, so why not make him the most fucking booed person in AEW? I mean, make it. If you're not going to get one of the two of them, turn this into something that actually becomes a storyline.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you're in damage control mode if you don't have one of the two of them under contract already. So you have a backup plan. Let's make this person, insert name here, whether it be Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, Christian Cage, Nick Gage. I don't give a fuck who it is. Name them the best in the world. Have them come out and be like, I am the best in the world, and beat Darby Allin in 7 minutes or whatever it is. And okay, well, now you have Darby Allin, and you have this person who's now the biggest heel in the company, not named Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Right.
Here's a question for you guys, though, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Taking it in a little bit of a different direction. If you're CM Punk right now, or you're Bryan Danielson right now, and you're not signed to AEW, and you're hearing all the rumors the same way we're hearing all the rumors, are you on the phone with Tony Khan being like, so Tony, let's talk? Because everyone already thinks I'm coming to work for your company. So what are you going to do for me? Like, I mean, would that be you if you were in their position right now?
Punk, yes. Bryan, no.
Why? Sophie, go lay
Bryan,
down.
no, because Bryan's been an in-ring performer the last 3 or 4 years. He could get a reduced dates and reduce everything from Vince if he really wanted to be a professional wrestler still. I don't think he has to worry about the raking anyone over the coals to get what Bryan wants. Punk, on the other hand, hasn't wrestled in 5+ years, not in ring shape. I mean, I think at this point, if it's, you know, what are you going to do for me? It more Punk is going to try to get as much as he can. Where Bryan is, if Bryan wants to wrestle, Bryan can go anywhere and wrestle.
Yeah.
True. But that's the thing, though. Bryan can go anywhere to wrestle. But I remember, I think you were telling me yesterday, Mike, that like some of the rumors about that there's a rumor out there. And it's all rumors right now. Until these guys actually show up in AEW, it's a rumor. Or show up anywhere, it's a rumor. But there's a rumor that Bryan has a contract where in it gives him the right to go wrestle in Japan. And it gives him the right to only work like X number of days and be making the same kind of money he was making, if not more. And all of that kind of stuff, which he wouldn't get from WWE. There's no scenario where WWE is going to be like, yeah, Daniel Bryan, go ahead and go wrestle with New Japan. But
Japan, no,
that
but
could happen with AEW. Huh?
Japan, no, but he could definitely get less dates.
He could get less dates. Yeah. No, he could definitely get less dates. I mean, look, they're doing it with John Cena. They're willing to do it with a lot of guys. But we all know also, well, at least you and I know, Mike, Ernest, get educated.
Yeah,
Daniel Bryan Bryan Danielson is someone who actually takes the art of wrestling very seriously. The fact that like he staved off entering the WWF as the WWE as a system for as long as he did was because he wanted to travel the world. He was making the kind of money where he didn't need to be in WWE in order to be a success. He was happy going to Japan. He was happy being the top guy in Ring of Honor. He was happy being the main guy on the independent wrestling scene. And now he's spent a decade basically being the top guy in WWE or one of the top guys in WWE. So I don't think it's crazy to think that Bryan Danielson is now like, you know what? I'm ready to go back in the opposite direction. I'm ready to like be a top guy in Japan. Where, to be honest, the last time that he was wrestling in New Japan, if you were a wrestler from America, you weren't getting anywhere near the IWGP Heavyweight title unless your name was Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle. This was before Kenny Omega was the champion. This was before AJ Styles was the champion, before Jay White was the champion. I know, I just named two guys that aren't from America, but you get my point. They're non-Japanese wrestlers. They're gaijin, or however you say that. So, like, now we're in a world where Daniel Bryan could show up in New Japan and actually reasonably win that god-ugly IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So
there's a 0% chance he holds that title this year.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Let's look at something that nobody's thinking about here. Wife, 2 kids, COVID. We're in August.
I like her. At least this year. Maybe next year we'll talk about it.
Yeah, maybe he's someone who fights for the title at Wrestle Kingdom, but he's
Yeah.
gonna go put his ass on the line, fly to Japan, have to quarantine for 2 weeks, be away from his wife and his 2 kids, one of them being less than a year old. He's gonna do it over. Let's see, it's August right now, so it'd be October. So it means he'd be probably there for Thanksgiving and potentially for Christmas. That's a 0% chance that a father of 2 is missing Christmas to be a wrestler in Japan when he could be working the same amount of dates for Vince McMahon for at least 1 more year. Even if he signed a 1-year contract.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't be shocked to see it happen.
You're gonna take the belt off of Shingo to put it on Bryan.
I mean, look, they hot potato that belt
really
around anyway. The only reason that Shingo's the champion right now, and you know me, I love Shingo. I'm happy that he's there. The only reason he's the champion right now is because Kota got injured. And the only reason that Kota was ever the champion was because someone else got injured. No. I'm sorry. Shingo's the champion because Ospreay got injured. Ospreay was the champion because Ibushi got injured. It's been a shit show in terms of that title this year.
Yes, but at least Will Ospreay was located in Japan.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like I wouldn't shock me to see them take the belt off of Shingo because at the end of the day, he only became champion by chance.
If you told me that he was going to win the IWGP US title from Lance Archer, I would say, yeah, like 90%. I just don't see him in the next 3 months going to Japan, quarantining for however long, winning the title, and then not being there to defend it, and then have to fly out right after Christmas for Wrestle Kingdom.
I mean, yeah, no, you're probably right because of all the
With
COVID
all the
stuff.
quarantines and all that bullshit.
No, you're probably right because of all the COVID stuff. If COVID wasn't a factor, I think that it would be a definite.
I would say that he had a 35 to 40% chance to win the IWGP Heavyweight title if COVID wasn't a thing.
Sidebar.
Because you'd have to get him into a feud. You'd have to get it where it made sense, and then you're probably you'd be looking at October.
I feel like you're overestimating the booking of New Japan.
G1 Climax is still coming up.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, but 9 times out of 10, the way a challenger happens in New Japan is he shows up after the last title match and says, "Hey, I want a title shot."
Yes,
so I mean that could happen at any given time.
That would have had to have been right now because it's Evil, and then you go into G1.
True.
I'm like 90% sure
I mean,
go from Evil to G1, and Shingo's gonna be in G1.
True.
So I mean, that's gonna chalk up the back half of the year. That's why I was saying if he would have debuted on Sunday after Wrestle Grand Slam and he would have been the next challenger, then yeah, that makes sense that he would have a shot. But now at this point, the earliest that I think Shingo's really gonna defend the title again would be after Evil would be Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, unless because traditionally they don't really defend it in like December or anything.
No, that'd be the end of G1.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really funky right now. That whole New Japan's kind of just in a funky place right now, in my opinion.
Well, definitely in a funky place because G1's normally the summer and it gets us through the summer, but unfortunately now it's the fall winter.
Yeah, the second year in a row.